The sleeping giant, the Keltharian research vessel Star Whisper, drifted through the void like a silver needle threading through cosmic darkness. Captain Zara Kelth stood on the bridge, her forearms folded behind her back as she watched the star chart scroll across the main display. The abandoned Terran sector stretched before them, a graveyard of dead worlds and forgotten dreams. "Captain, we are detecting an unusual energy signature ahead," reported Dr. Vin Talros from his science station. His elongated head tilted as he studied the readings, his large eyes reflecting the blue glow of his instruments. "It appears to be artificial in origin, but the pattern is unlike anything in our databases." Zara's interest piqued. The Keltharian Science Council had sent them to survey this region specifically because it had once belonged to the mysterious humans. Those strange bipedal creatures had vanished from the galaxy over 2 centuries ago, leaving behind only ruins and legends. Most species believed they had simply died out naturally, but some whispered darker theories about what had really happened to them. "What kind of energy signature?" Zara asked, moving to examine Vin's readings. The display showed a faint but steady pulse emanating from somewhere deeper in the asteroid field ahead of them. "Unknown, Captain. It is very weak, almost like something in deep hibernation. But the mathematical patterns suggest it was created by an advanced intelligence." Vin paused, his fingers dancing over his controls. "Captain, whatever is generating this signal, it has been active for approximately 200 years. Engineer." Rax Denora looked up from his monitoring station, his scarred face showing concern. "Captain, we should be careful. The humans were known to be unpredictable. Their technology might still be dangerous even after all this time." Zara considered. This warning, Rax had served on exploration vessels for 30 years and had survived encounters that killed lesser crews. His caution was always worth hearing, but the scientist in her was too curious to ignore such a discovery. "Take us closer, but slowly," she ordered. "Keep our shields up and weapons ready. We are here to learn, not to fight, but we will not be caught unprepared." The Star Whisper moved deeper into the asteroid field. The energy signature grew stronger with each passing hour. When they finally reached its source, even Zara gasped in amazement. Floating in the shadow of a massive asteroid was a ship unlike anything they had ever seen. It was enormous, easily 5 times the size of their own vessel. The hull was dark and angular, covered in strange markings that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. Despite its obvious age, the ship looked completely intact. "By the ancient lights," whispered Vin. "It is beautiful. It is terrifying," Rax corrected. "Look at those weapon ports. This vessel was built for war." Zara studied the human ship carefully. It had an elegance to it, but also a sense of deadly purpose. Every line of its design spoke of efficiency and power. "What do your scans tell us about its condition?" "The hull is intact and appears to be self-repairing. Life support systems are minimal but functional. Most importantly, Captain, there are massive power cores throughout the ship, but they are all in standby mode." Vin's excitement was obvious in his voice. "This ship is not dead. It is sleeping. Any signs of life aboard?" Zara asked. "Negative. No biological signatures detected. But Captain, the energy patterns suggest the presence of extremely sophisticated artificial intelligence systems. If they are still functional, they represent technology far beyond our current capabilities." Zara made her decision. "Prepare a boarding party. We are going to investigate this vessel personally." "Captain, I must protest," Rax said firmly. We have no idea what automated defenses might still be active. This could be a trap. Everything worthwhile involves some risk, old friend, Zara replied, but you are right to be cautious. We will take full environmental suits, emergency beacons, and a complete sensor package. If anything goes wrong, you will beam us back immediately. An hour later, Zara, Vin, and 2 security officers materialized in what appeared to be a cargo bay aboard the human vessel. Emergency lighting flickered on automatically as they arrived, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The air was stale but breathable according to their scanners. The ship is responding to our presence, Vin observed as more lights activated throughout the corridor ahead of them. These systems have been waiting for someone to arrive. They moved through the ship carefully, recording everything they saw. The corridors were wide and functional, clearly designed for beings roughly the same size as Keltharians. Strange symbols covered the walls, some appearing to be directional markers, while others looked like warnings or instructions. The humans were surprisingly similar to us in many ways, Zara noted as they passed what was obviously crew quarters. But their technology integration is far more advanced than ours. Look at these control interfaces. Vin was studying a wall panel covered in the strange human symbols. Captain, I believe this is some kind of information display. The symbols appear to be organized like text or data storage. Can you interface with their systems? Zara asked. I can try. Their power. Conduits and data connections follow logical patterns, even if the specific technology is different from ours. As Vin worked to establish a connection, they continued exploring. The ship was vast, with multiple decks and hundreds of compartments. Everything they saw reinforced the impression that this had been a military vessel of incredible sophistication. When they finally reached the bridge, all 4 Keltharians stopped in wonder. The command center was enormous, with dozens of control stations arranged around a central command chair that looked more like a throne. Massive screens covered the walls, all currently dark but obviously capable of displaying vast amounts of information. The computing power required to operate all of this must be incredible, Vin breathed. What kind of species builds technology like this? Before anyone could answer, Vin succeeded in establishing his connection to the ship's computer. Systems. The moment the link was complete, everything changed. Lights blazed to life throughout the bridge as power surged through systems that had been dormant for centuries. The massive screens flickered and came online, displaying streams of data in the strange human script. Warning sounds echoed through the corridors, followed by a voice that spoke in a language none of them understood. What did you do? Zara demanded, as alarms continued to sound around them. I only established a basic data connection, Vin replied nervously. I think I accidentally triggered some kind of activation sequence. The warning sounds stopped abruptly, replaced by a gentle humming that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Then something appeared that made all 4 Keltharians freeze in terror. A figure materialized in the center of the bridge. It was translucent, like a hologram, but seemed incredibly real. The figure was clearly one of the ship's builders, a human. She was tall and lean, with short dark hair and intense brown eyes. She wore a dark blue uniform covered in symbols that obviously indicated high rank. Emergency protocols activated, the figure said in perfect Keltharian. Unknown life forms detected aboard US Eternal Vigil, initiating first contact procedures. The 4 aliens stood perfectly still, afraid to move or speak. The human figure turned to look directly at Captain Zara, as if she could see her clearly. I am Commander Sarah Chen. artificial intelligence construct and commanding officer of the United Earthship Eternal Vigil. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. Zara found her voice after several long moments. I am Captain Zara Kelth of the Keltharian research vessel Star Whisper. We discovered your ship while conducting a survey of this sector. We meant no harm by boarding your vessel. Commander Chen's expression softened slightly. Keltharians, that species designation is not in my database. You are a new contact. She paused, and her eyes seemed to look through them as if accessing vast stores of information. How long has this ship been dormant? Our scans suggest approximately 200 years, Vin answered carefully. Are you truly an artificial intelligence, or something else? That is a complex question, Chen replied. I am the real Sarah Chen. I commanded this ship during humanity's final war, but I am also something more than I was in life. My consciousness, memories, and personality were uploaded to the ship's quantum matrix before my biological death. I am both the woman who lived and the guardian who remains. One of the security officers stepped forward carefully. Commander, what happened to your people? Our records show humans simply vanished from known space. Sarah's expression became distant and sad. Humanity fought to extinction, defending the galaxy from an invasion force we called the Void Spawn. They were parasitic entities that consumed not just matter and energy, but the very fabric of reality itself. Wherever they passed, entire star systems simply ceased to exist. Zara felt a chill run through her body. Your entire species died fighting these creatures. Every last human died holding the line, Sarah confirmed. But we did not die in vain. Before the end, our greatest minds created the Sentinel Protocol. We uploaded the consciousness of our most experienced commanders into quantum storage systems, aboard our most advanced warships. Even in death, we would continue to guard the galaxy against threats that could destroy all life. Sarah moved around the bridge as she spoke, her translucent form moving naturally despite being a projection. The U.S. Eternal Vigil was the command ship of Sentinel, Fleet 7. We retreated to this position after the final battle and went into dormant mode. We have been waiting here for over 2 centuries. Waiting for what? Zara asked. For the void, spawn to return, or for someone to need our protection. Sarah's voice became cold and professional. The Sentinel fleets were programmed with one primary mission: protect intelligent life from extinction-level threats. My ship and crew may be dead, but our duty remains. Vin stepped closer to one of the control panels, his scientific curiosity overcoming his fear. Commander, the technology aboard this vessel is far beyond anything we have ever seen. How many ships like this still exist? 47 vessels of various classes are hidden throughout this sector of the galaxy, Sarah replied. Each one is commanded by the uploaded consciousness of a decorated human officer. We retained all of our knowledge, experience, and tactical abilities. Death could not stop our commitment to protecting innocent life. Suddenly, alarms began sounding. Again throughout the bridge, Sarah's expression changed instantly, becoming alert and focused. She moved to the captain's chair and began entering commands with practiced efficiency. Commander, what is happening? Zara asked urgently. Sarah's fingers flew over her controls as data streams flowed across the screens around them. Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures approaching from deep space. The mathematical patterns. She paused, her face becoming grim. Captain Kelth, I need you to contact your ship immediately. We have a serious problem. What kind of problem? Zara demanded. Sarah turned to face them, and for the first time since awakening, she looked truly frightened. The energy signatures match void spawn technology. After 200 years, they have returned to finish what they started. The bridge filled with the sound of more alarms as the Eternal Vigil's systems came fully online for the first time in centuries. Captain Zara realized that their simple exploration mission had just become something far more dangerous than any of them had imagined. "Commander," she said quietly, "what exactly are we dealing with?" Sarah's holographic form flickered as power flowed to weapons systems that had been sleeping for 2 centuries. "Captain, you have just awakened a guardian that has been waiting for this moment since the day humanity died. And now, you are about to learn why the galaxy needed us to never truly rest in peace." The screens around them filled with tactical displays and threat assessments as the ghost of humanity's greatest defender prepared to face an enemy that had already destroyed one entire species. The question now was whether one sleeping warship and its unlikely alien allies could succeed, where an entire civilization had failed. Asterisk, when ghosts become guardians, the bridge of the eternal. Vigil hummed with deadly purpose as Commander Sarah Chen worked at her controls with inhuman speed. Her translucent fingers danced across interfaces that responded to her touch as if she was still flesh and blood. Captain Zara watched in fascination and growing terror as the human ghost ship came alive around them. "Captain Kelth, I need you to establish communication with your vessel immediately," Sarah said without looking up from her displays. "The approaching fleet will reach this system in approximately 72 hours. We have very little time to prepare." Zara activated her communicator with shaking hands. "Rax, this is the captain. We have an emergency situation. I need you to contact the Keltharian Defense Council immediately and request all available ships." "In this sector, Captain, what kind of emergency?" Rax's voice crackled through the device. "Our sensors are detecting massive power buildups throughout that human ship." "The ship is not our problem, Rax. There is something much worse coming." Zara looked at Sarah, who was now surrounded by holographic displays showing tactical information. "Tell the Defense Council that an extinction-level threat is approaching Keltharian space. They need to evacuate all civilian populations from the outer colonies." Sarah paused in her work and turned to face the Keltharians. "Captain, with respect, your Defense Council will not believe such a warning. They have never encountered the void spawn. They cannot comprehend what is coming." "Then help me make them understand," Zara replied. "What exactly are these void spawn?" Sarah's image flickered as she accessed deep memory files. "The void spawn are not native to our dimension. They exist in the spaces between realities, feeding on the fundamental forces that hold the universe together. When they enter normal space, they do not simply destroy matter and energy. They erase it from existence entirely." Dr. Vin stepped closer, his scientific mind struggling to process what he was hearing. "You are describing something that violates the basic laws of physics." "The laws of physics as you understand them," Sarah corrected. "The void spawn operate on principles that most species cannot comprehend. They are parasites that consume the very concept of existence. Where they feed, space itself becomes nothing. Not empty space, but true void." The main screen shifted to show recordings from humanity's war. The images were horrifying beyond description. Entire star systems simply vanished, leaving not even debris behind. Fleets of ships disappeared the moment they encountered strange, writhing shadows that seemed to bend light around them. This is how the war began, Sarah narrated as the recordings played. The void spawn appeared in the Outer Rim territories first. We thought they were just another hostile alien species. We sent diplomatic missions. Those ships vanished without even sending distress signals. Then we sent military scouts. They also disappeared. By the time we understood what we were facing, they had consumed 17 star systems. Zara stared at the images in horror. How do you fight something like that? With great difficulty and enormous sacrifice, Sarah replied grimly. Standard weapons are useless. Energy beams, projectiles, even nuclear warheads simply cease to exist when they encounter void spawn matter. We had to develop entirely new forms of warfare. The recordings shifted to show human fleets engaging the shadow creatures in desperate battles. But these ships were different from anything the Keltharians had seen. They fired weapons that seemed to tear holes in space itself, and their hulls glowed with energies that hurt to look at directly. Quantum disruption weapons, Sarah explained. Instead of trying to destroy the void spawn, we learned to attack the dimensional boundaries they use to exist in our reality. We weaponized the fundamental forces of the universe itself, and it worked. Vin asked hopefully. Sarah's expression became infinitely sad. It worked well enough to stop them, but the cost was everything we were. Every human world, every ship, every person. We held the line for 3 years, giving the other species in the galaxy time to evacuate or prepare defenses. In the end, we triggered a dimensional collapse that sealed the void spawn away from normal space. But now they have returned, Zara said quietly. Yes, the dimensional barriers we created were only temporary. We always knew they would eventually find a way through again. Sarah turned back to her controls. That is why the Sentinel fleets were created. We uploaded our consciousness into quantum matrices that could survive indefinitely, waiting for this moment. Alarms began sounding throughout the ship as new contacts appeared on the sensors. Sarah's fingers flew over her controls with inhuman precision. Captain, the scout elements have arrived early. 3 void spawn infiltrator vessels have just entered the system. Sarah's voice became cold and professional. I am activating combat protocols and bringing all weapon systems online. The bridge around them transformed. Walls retracted to reveal massive holographic displays showing the entire star system. The Eternal Vigil appeared as a blue icon in the center, while 3 dark red shapes moved toward them from the system's edge. Commander, surely 3 ships cannot threaten a vessel of this size, one of the security officers asked. Sarah's laugh was bitter. Each of those ships is capable of consuming an entire planet. Size means nothing to the void spawn. They feed on existence itself. She paused, studying her tactical displays. However, they are scouts, not their main battle forms. If I can destroy them quickly, it might delay the arrival of their main fleet. The ship shuddered as massive engines came online. Zara could feel the power flowing through the hull around them. Commander, what can we do to help? Contact every ship in Keltharian space and tell them to retreat to your core worlds. Do not engage the void spawn under any circumstances. Their weapons will turn your vessels into nothingness. Sarah's hands moved over weapons controls that glowed with ominous energy. I am going to show you why humanity chose to become guardians rather than simply die. The main screen shifted to show space ahead of the Eternal Vigil. The 3 void spawn ships were visible now as writhing masses of shadow that seemed to devour the light around them. They moved in ways that defied physics, sliding through space like liquid darkness. Quantum disruption cannons charging, Sarah announced. Target locks acquired. Firing. The universe screamed. That was the only way Zara could describe what happened. When the human weapons fired, beams of pure white energy lanced out from the eternal vigil, but they were not like any weapons the Keltharians had ever seen. These beams seemed to tear holes in reality itself, creating wounds in space that hurt to look at. The first void spawn. Ship was caught in the beam and simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized, but completely erased from reality. The second ship tried to dodge, but Sarah's targeting was perfect. It too vanished into nothingness. The third ship managed to return fire before Sarah could target it. A wave of absolute darkness swept toward the eternal vigil, and Zara felt a terror beyond anything she had ever experienced. The darkness touched the ship's shields and began to devour them. Dimensional barriers holding, Sarah reported calmly. But barely. These are definitely scouts. The main force will be much more powerful. She fired again, and the third void spawn ship disappeared. But the damage to the Eternal Vigil's shields was obvious on the tactical displays. "Commander, your ship is damaged," Vin observed. "Can you repair it?" "The ship will repair itself, given time," Sarah replied. "But we will not have time. Those scouts transmitted our location before I destroyed them. The main fleet will arrive within hours, and they will come prepared for a fight." Sarah turned away from her controls to face the Keltharians directly. "Captain Kelth, I need to ask something of you that no species should have to face. I need your people to trust me completely, even though doing so may result in the destruction of everything you hold dear." "What do you mean?" Zara asked, though she was afraid she already knew. "I am going to activate the entire Sentinel network. 47 ghost ships will awaken across this sector of the galaxy. When they do, they will begin preparing for a battle that will determine whether life itself survives in this dimension." Sarah's image flickered with emotional intensity. "But to do this, I need access to your communication networks. I need to contact species across the galaxy and warn them of what is coming." "And if we refuse?" Zara asked. "Then you will all die. When the void spawn arrive, and I will activate the network anyway. But with your help, we might be able to evacuate some populations and coordinate a defense." Sarah moved closer to Zara. "Captain, humanity died to protect species we had never even met. We did it because we believed that life itself was worth preserving. Now I am asking you to have the same faith in us that we had in the future." Zara looked to her crew members, seeing her own fear reflected in their faces, but she also saw something else: determination. The same quality that had driven humans to sacrifice everything for strangers. "Dr. Talrose, establish a quantum communication. Link with the Keltharian Defense Council. Give Commander Chen full access to our networks." She turned back to Sarah. "What do you need us to do?" Sarah's expression showed something that might have been gratitude. "Help me wake the dead, Captain. It is time for humanity's guardians to fulfill their purpose." The bridge filled with activity as Sarah began activating communication systems that had been dormant for centuries. Across the galaxy, ancient signals began reaching ships that had waited in silence for this moment. One by one, the ghosts of humanity began to answer. Sentinel-7 to Vigil Command. Commander Rodriguez reporting. All systems operational. Sentinel-12 to Vigil Command. Commander Patel online. Ready for orders. Sentinel-21 to Vigil Command. Commander Thompson awakening. Weapons hot. The voices of the dead filled the communication channels as humanity's greatest defenders returned to active duty. Each ship reported the same thing: full combat readiness and an unshakable determination to protect life in the galaxy. All Sentinel units, this is Commander Chen, Sarah broadcast to the network. Void Spawn main fleet inbound. Estimated arrival: 6 hours. Initiate protection protocol, Omega. Civilian evacuation is the priority. As acknowledgements flooded back from across the galaxy, Sarah turned to Captain Zara one final time. Captain, you have just witnessed the resurrection of humanities. Promise to protect innocent life. In 6 hours, we will face an enemy that has already destroyed one entire species, but this time we are ready for them. The main screen showed tactical displays as ghost ships across the galaxy began moving toward defensive positions. Each ship was crewed by the uploaded consciousness of humans who had already died once to protect strangers. Commander, Zara said quietly, will it be enough? Sarah's holographic form stood straighter, and for a moment she looked like the living woman she had once been. Captain, humanity has never known how to surrender. We do not know how to give up, and we have had 200 years to prepare for this moment. The bridge filled with the light of awakening weapons as the eternal vigil prepared for the battle that would determine the fate of all life in the galaxy. Around them, the ghosts of humanity's greatest heroes made ready to prove that some promises transcend even death itself. The Void Spawn were coming, but they would find that humanity's guardians were ready and waiting. Asterisk.